In this video, we're going to talk about geometry, a geometry concept dealing with parallel lines and transversals. Okay, we have in another video, we talked about what a parallel line was. And a parallel line is two lines that are in the same plane that never intersect throughout their entire length. So I've drawn two parallel lines, line L and line M here. Okay, and I've drawn a third line that cuts through both of them line, and I've labeled it as line T. That is what's referred to as our transversal. Okay, trans meaning crossing. Okay, so it crosses both of the lines. Now, in doing so, it creates quadrants of angles. Okay, you'll notice that there's a quadrant of angles up here 1, 2, 3, 4, and a quadrant of angles down here 5, 6, 7, and 8. And it also creates some relationships between those particular angles, and those are actually labeled with some terms that we're going to talk about in this video. So when we talk about corresponding angles, we're talking about angles that are in the exact same position in each of the quadrants that are created by the two lines and the transversal. So I have two lines, I have a transversal, okay, line L and line M are my parallel lines. Line T is my transversal. So I have quadrant here, I have that quadrant there, and I have that quadrant there. Now, when we're talking about the corresponding angles, okay, let's look at angle number one. Angle number one. As we look at this bunch or cluster of angles, it is in the upper left-hand corner of that quadrant, of that cluster. So as I look at the other cluster, I'm looking for the number of angle that is also in the upper left-hand corner of that of this other cluster, which would be angle number 5. So angle 1 and angle 5 would be corresponding angles in this particular drawing. Okay, so now let's look at angle number 2. So angle number 2 is in the upper right-hand corner of the first cluster that we would come in contact with here. So which angle in the second cluster is in the upper right-hand quadrant? Okay, that would be angle number 6. So we have 2 and 6 are also corresponding. So let's look at angle number 3. So in angle number 3, it is in the lower left-hand corner of the first cluster of angles. So now I'm looking at the second cluster of angles. Which one is in the lower left-hand corner of that? And that would be angle number 7. All right. And our last one, obviously the only two that are left, angle 4 and angle 8. Angle 4 is in the lower right-hand corner. Angle 8 is also in the lower right-hand corner. So that's our relationship between corresponding angles. And we'll talk about some other things to go with this in a different video. But we're just talking about the relationships today. Angle 1 is in the same position as 5, 2 is in the same position as 6, 3 is in the same position as 7, and 4 is in the same position as 8. So that means that is their corresponding relationship. So another relationship we want to talk about is alternate interior angles. Now, alternate means on opposite sides, okay, alternating. Left, right, when you walk, you go left foot, right foot, okay? When we just do different things, we alternate left and right. And we're talking about the same thing here. That's what alternate means here. And interior. Interior means it's between the two parallel lines. Okay? Between the two parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. So if I pick the 4 angles that are in between the two parallel lines are angles 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? So if I pick angle 3, what angle is on the opposite side of the transversal, okay, and in the other cluster, okay? That's alternate interior angles. You have to pick one angle from each of the two clusters, okay? One angle from cluster number 1 and one angle from cluster number 2. So angle 3 is here. Flip to the other side. I'm either dealing with angle 4 or angle 6. Well, angle 6 is the only one of those two that's in the other cluster. So we have angle 3 and angle 6. Okay, hopefully that's making sense. Let's talk about a couple of other ones here. Maybe it'll make sense when we do a couple more. Let's look at angle 4 then. Angle 4 is right here in our first cluster. It's on the right-hand side of the transversal. So I need an angle that's on for an alternate interior angle. Okay, so I need to go to the other side of the transversal, so that gives me angle 3 and angle 5. And I need the angle that's in the other cluster, which would be angle 5. So that's angle 4 and angle 5. Okay, so those are alternate interior angles. Opposite sides of the transversal, interior angles means they're between the two parallel lines. So another relationship we'll talk about is alternate exterior angles. Now, the alternate means the exact same thing, opposite sides of the transversal, one here and one over here. Okay. The exterior angles means the fact that they were going to be outside of the two parallel lines. So the four angles that we're dealing with there, 1, 2, 7, and 8. So those are the four angles we're going to choose from. So let's find the alternate exterior angle for angle number 1. Angle number 1 is on the left-hand side of the transversal. It's outside. So I need something on the right-hand side of the transversal and outside. So we move across. So I'm dealing with angle 2 or I'm dealing with angle 8. And just like I did with alternate interior angles, I need one angle from each of the different clusters. So if angle 1 is in cluster number 1, then I have to find something from cluster number 2, which would leave me with angle number 8. Angle 1 and angle 8. So as we look at angle 2, and I need to find the alternate interior angle for that one, I'm on the right-hand side of the transversal. I need to flop to the left-hand side of the transversal. I have angle 1 and angle 7. With angle 1 and angle 7, which one's not in the same cluster? In other words, it's in a different cluster. That would be angle number 7. So that would be my alternate exterior angles. All right. Our final relationship that we're going to talk about is our same side interior angles. Again, I'm looking for one angle from each of the different clusters. I'm looking for interior angles, which means they're between the two parallel lines, but I'm looking for same side interior. So that means they're on the same side of the transversal. So my four interior angles, just like we had before, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So angle 3, all right, I'm looking for an angle that is on the same side of the transversal and stays interior, but is in the other cluster. So same side of the transversal is angle 5. It's in a different cluster. It's still on an interior angle. So that gives me angle 5. Okay. And so we look for the same side interior angle for angle number 4. It's on the right-hand side of the interior of the transversal. It's an interior angle. So I need another interior angle in the other cluster that's on the same side of the transversal. So we slide down the transversal. Angle number 6 is an interior angle. It's on the same side of the transversal. Therefore, it is my same side interior angle. So that's angle 4 and angle 6. So these relationships will help us better understand when we start putting numbers to these and dealing with equivalent and corresponding equivalent angles and supplementary angles and all that kind of stuff. We'll add in another video. Thank you.